Hey there, Mom and Dad are fighting listeners. Before we get started, I want to let you know about a story coming up a little later in our show. It's from our partners at Macy's, and it's work with the nonprofit APIA Scholars. Macy's is committed to making a difference in the lives of Asian and Pacific Islander students across the country. From May 1st to 31st, you can support APIA Scholars by rounding up your Macy's in-store purchase or donating online. These funds will equip Asian and Pacific Islander American students with the tools and resources they need to prepare for academic, personal, and professional success. Stick around to hear from Noor, an APIA scholar.
This episode contains explicit language. Welcome to Mom and Dad Are Fighting, Slate's parenting podcast for Monday, May 8th, the Potty Problems edition. I'm Elizabeth Newcamp. I write the homeschool and family travel blog, Dutch Goose. I'm the mom of 3 littles, Henry, who's 11, Oliver, who's 8, and Teddy, who's 6. We live in Colorado Springs, Colorado.
I'm Jamilah Lemieux, a writer, contributor to Slate's Care and Feeding Parenting column, and mom to Naima, who is 10, and we live in Los Angeles.
I'm Zak Rosen. I make another podcast. It's called The Best Advice Show, and I'm dad to Noah, who is 5, and Ami, who's 2. We live in Detroit.
Today on the show, Dr. Christine Stephenson, the constipation coach, is back to help us help a listener who's running into some potty training problems at preschool. She thought she had her son potty trained, but now he's having daily accidents at school. See you back here in a second. This episode is brought to you by KiwiCo. You guys know I love a good family moment, like my parents playing a trivia game with us and us all kind of laughing around the table, and I'm constantly chasing that feeling with my own family. We have found that with KiwiCo. So each month, KiwiCo delivers a crate packed with fun. It sparks creativity with kid-friendly topics and activities. Henry's last crate, he built a LED speaker box. So he did most of the work, actually. He loves doing the engineering and tinkering kind of on his own. He plugged this in to one of our iPhones and we turned down the lights and it played music, plus putting little lasers up on the ceiling. We had a great time. You guys, literally, as soon as the project comes, the kids cannot wait to get started. Redefine learning with play. Explore hands-on projects that build creative confidence and problem-solving skills with KiwiCo. Get 50% off your first month plus free shipping on any crate line at kiwico.com/momanddad. That's 50% off your first month at kiwico.com/momanddad.
This podcast is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Hey, listeners. Whether you love true crime or comedies, celebrity interviews, news, or even motivational speakers, you call the shots on what's in your podcast queue, right? And guess what? Now you can call the shots on your auto insurance too. Enter the Name Your Price tool from Progressive. The Name Your Price tool puts you in charge of your auto insurance by working just the way it sounds. You tell Progressive how much you want to pay for car insurance, then they'll show you a variety of coverages that fit within your budget, giving you options. Now that's something you'll want to press play on. It's easy to start a quote, and you'll be able to choose the best option for you, fast. It's just one of the many ways you can save with Progressive Insurance. Quote today at Progressive.com to try the Name Your Price tool for yourself and join the over 29 million drivers who trust Progressive. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Price and coverage match limited by state law.
Let's start by welcoming Christine Stephenson back to the show. Welcome, Christine.
Hi, thank you for having me back.
Well, you've joined us before, but for listeners who are unfamiliar, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
So I'm a pediatric physical therapist. I live and work and raise a couple of kids in Rapid City, South Dakota. A few years into my career as a PT, I got trained to treat bowel and bladder dysfunction, which just changed my whole world because it affects so many kids in so many ways. And it's so treatable if we know about it.
Well, we're so glad you can be here because we get so many potty training questions on this show because, of course, it's terrible. But I'm hoping this one in particular, I think, really stuck with us. And we just wanted to have you give us some advice to help other people potty training and specifically this question. So Here is what the letter writer writes. Seeking advice on potty training. We started training our son around age 2 using the oh crap potty training method, and he was eventually about 85% day trained for pee and has been nearly 100% reliable for poop. However, since starting preschool last fall, he has nearly daily pee accidents. Now he's 4.5 years old, and the improvement we were hoping for hasn't happened. We've tried sticker charts, Potty Watch, the Daniel Tiger potty episode, books, etc., and nothing has worked. He won't generally have full-fledged accidents, but will wet enough that it's clear he had an accident, and then we'll finish on the toilet. Pediatricians have been no help and says it's probably behavioral, not medical. Son reports no pain when urinating, and there's no reason to think he has a UTI or is constipated. I'm getting a bit desperate and am worried his school's patience will run out as kids are supposed to be potty trained. Any advice or suggestion for a super late kid? Preschool potty problems. All right, Christine, what do you think?
Okay, so first message I want to send to this letter writer is they are so far from alone. If I can just talk for a minute about potty training in general, like in our country, we make some mistakes. First of all, I think we do it too soon. I think we do it when parents want to potty train and not when kids want to potty train. The second one, and this is problematic in a lot of ways for me to say because I really believe in body autonomy, but we have this thing where we should honor our kids' body autonomy. And as far as the OCRAP method, I think they really focus on that. The kids should learn their urges, which is terrific. And then the kids should be allowed or given the responsibility. I should say given the responsibility to respond to those urges. If we're teaching kids to know what their urges are, but then saying, you can choose what to do with those urges, whatever you want, then a lot of kids respond to those urges by ignoring those urges because all of us make those urges go away all day long. I can be in the clinic with kids and I've got this kid for an hour and then, I'll go to the bathroom in between. Oh, but my other kid's here. So then I'm going to go another half an hour. I really got to go, but I'm going to wait until after this. And it's 4 hours later and I finally make it to the bathroom. That's not a healthy toileting pattern, but like I'm an adult. I don't have pelvic floor dysfunction. I don't have incontinence. I'm okay. These are toddlers who are going to make the exact same decisions. They're not going to know at all whether it's good or bad for them. And then they get into this habit of holding their pee and poop. So in general, I have advice for potty training that I wish all parents would follow. The first thing to do is to make your kids practically beg to be potty trained. So I tell parents to put your kid in a pull-up. They need to be able to go on a schedule. They need to show that they can go when they're in the grocery store and they need to use the bathroom, and daycare when they need to use the bathroom, and the park when they need to use the bathroom. Mm-hmm. They have to show that they're really capable of doing it all the time and they're not going to hold it. And so they really need to want it. And then the underwear and being potty trained is the reward. If I could, I would tell parents to wait until their kids are dry at night because that's really a sign of a mature bladder and it'll mean that potty training will go easier. And then now is when I get to talk about poop, which is really my wheelhouse. When potty training, you should pay super close attention to your kids' poop. As a general rule, if they're pooping once or twice a day before potty training, they should be doing the same when they're potty training and then when they're done potty training. It's not unusual for poops to slow down a little bit, like twice a day to once a day, but kids should be pooping once a day. The final potty training advice that I have is I would like everybody to throw away the question, do you have to go to the bathroom? And I'd like them to replace it with, it's time to go to the bathroom. I don't think I've ever really heard, I have a lot of toddlers in my life right now. I don't think I've ever heard one of these parents say, do you have to go to the bathroom? And the kid to say, oh yeah, you're right, Dad, I do. No, they say no. They say no, they say no, they say no. And then finally they have a pee leak right there in the living room, or they get carried off to the bathroom. So I think taking away that do you have to go is not a bad option for a lot of kids. So now this child in particular, I read the not medical, that it's behavioral, not medical. And I just was like, oh, great. What a relief, And I said it kind of tongue in cheek, but it is a relief, right? Like you want to know that your kid doesn't have a neurological dysfunction that's causing this bladder to malfunction, no disease process, no structural abnormalities. And so everything I say should be taken with that assumption that there's not something medically going on and that this kid has been screened for all that. But So it's not pathological, but I would argue that this is 100% a medical issue. It should be treated as such because it doesn't sound to me like he wants to have incontinence. He's recognizing when he's had incontinence and is able to hold it enough to go to the bathroom, but he's not getting that urge until his bladder is super full. So my suspicion is that way back when he was 2, he learned how to hold his pee. Many kids do. They use their pelvic floor muscles that tighten up and hold pee in. They sit on their heel. There's actually a name for that. It's called Vincent's curtsy. They sit on their heel to hold pee or poop in. They do that dance that we all like cutely call the potty dance. Like, I'm like, no. I don't want to see a potty dance. That's not going to be cute. Like, your body is telling you have to go to the bathroom and your brain's not recognizing it. So way back then, he learned to hold his pee. And what happens is the bladder is like a balloon and it stretches and you get an urge that you have to go to the bathroom. But if you ignore that urge, it goes away, as we've already talked about. And then you keep drinking and the bladder gets a little bit fuller and you might get that urge again and then it goes away. And then if you keep this up for a couple months, the only time you get the urge is when it's like super, super full and it's about to overflow or it has overflowed. What I would do with this child, the first thing I would do is I would actually use that water balloon analogy. And with kids, sometimes I will just get a water balloon and explain like, this is a normal water balloon, like maybe the size of an orange filled with water. And then like you have potty muscles that are holding it in and you go to the toilet and you have to empty it all the way. But if you don't empty it, it turns into the size of a grapefruit or it turns into the size of something bigger, and showing the child that like, when it gets that full, your muscles aren't strong enough, and that's why that pee is leaking out. And then you're tightening up and holding it in, you're going to the bathroom. So to explain that, like, your brain isn't getting the signal that your bladder is full. And so they said that they've tried a potty watch before. I would go back to using a potty watch. I would introduce it with some education, like, you have nerves. They are little mailmen that go from your bladder up to your brain and tell you whether you have to go pee. But your nerves aren't doing the job because you don't know you have to go pee until it's already coming out. So we're going to use this watch like a nerve, like a little mailman that's going to your brain and saying, it's time to go to the bathroom. Even if your brain doesn't feel it in your body, you're going to feel it on this watch. And then if you want, you can use a reward, not for staying dry during the day, but for following that watch.
Yeah, based on what you said too, it seems like they should check in with the preschool about what their potty strategy is, because it sounds like are they offering the kids the opportunity, or are they all lining up and going? And I know like our kids were in Dutch preschool, and it was much more like everybody goes to the bathroom. You are welcome to go to the bathroom anytime, but on these certain times, everybody goes. It doesn't matter whether you have to go or not. Everybody lines up. Everybody sits on the toilet. If you go, great. If you don't go. But asking like, is that, what is happening in the classroom and what is the environment? Are they asking the kids or making them go? And can they, make your kids go? I also wonder, like, are there any barriers in the classroom to going? Like, is the bathroom outside and there's like a door that locks and you have like, taking stock of those, because it seems like what this kid needs is consistent and easy access to a bathroom, right? To follow that potty watch until they can listen to their body better.
Totally agree. And I also like those potty watches can be set for any time. So you want to set it for this kid, probably for every hour and a half, although I don't think he needs to go to the bathroom every hour and a half for the long term, but let's have some success. Go to the bathroom approximately every hour and a half to 2 hours, and then eventually maybe every 2.5 hours. But work with those teachers. Like, what is the time of day that works? Our goal is around 90 minutes, 100 minutes. When can we set it so it works? And then that's another conversation that needs to happen with this kid. Like, is there something about this bathroom that makes it difficult? What are the barriers? And let's knock down those barriers. The other thing is you have to look very, very closely on whether or not this kid is constipated. And I can't scream this from the mountaintops high enough. Like, he probably is. Many, many kids are. And your child can poop every day and still be constipated. Constipation is a backup of stool in the rectum. New stool can go around it, especially if your kid has a pretty good diet, and drinks a lot of water and that poop is nice and soft. It'll go around the old stuff. But the old stuff that's hanging out there is what's causing the problem, because it pushes against the bladder which is a muscle. So as a physical therapist, if I want to activate a muscle, I tap on it. And it's kind of like you have this bladder, the bladder is a muscle, and you just have this poop constantly tapping on it, telling it to contract. And then like the bladder is squeezing all the time, it's contracting all the time, and then the pelvic floor muscles are fighting it. So really digging into this kid's poop, which I wouldn't literally do, but what are some of the signs of that he might be constipated, even if he's pooping every day? Are his poops cracked, like desert floor poops? Are they rabbit turds? Are they super big or round? If they ever clog the toilet, any listener who has a kid who clogs the toilet, that kid is constipated 100%. I have no hesitation with that. Diarrhea is a sign of constipation. I mean, it might be occasional stomach bug, but for the most part, wetting the bed or waking up at night to pee is a sign of constipation because there's not enough room for that bladder to expand because that stool is taking up space. Stomach aches always are constipation, almost always. Almost, I shouldn't say always, but almost. And then decreased appetite, kids who just don't want to eat all that much at once. Anyway, so you identify the constipation and then you treat the constipation. Go to your doctor, ask what to do. Read my book, The Constipation Game Plan, because I'll be honest, a lot of pediatricians, they stop at medication, and there's so many more things that you could do, like a toileting schedule and exercises and posture on the toilet.
And also not feel, I mean, you started with this, but I think it's worth ending kind of with it too, that like they shouldn't feel any guilt about this or that they did something wrong, because this letter does read like very heavy. And I mean, that is how I felt the entire time potty training. Like, this is somehow my fault.
I know, we're so full of judgments. Absolutely not. I just wish everybody could, at their 2 or 3 year well child visit, just be like, hey, I just want you to know, none of this is easy. There is no schedule. I want every preschool teacher who has told a parent that I've worked with that their kid can't be in a pull-up and go to preschool. Like, no, that's like, I mean, you shouldn't be potty training because your preschool teacher told you had to. That's just a recipe for disaster.
However, so many of us have to do that. We can't change our school policy. So do you have any advice of dealing with the shitty policy, if you will?
Being, just like Elizabeth said, like being very communicative with the teachers about schedules, and just say, our child needs help remembering to go. Yeah. They shouldn't be asked. I mean, preschool teachers should also ban do you have to go to the bathroom? There should be a morning bathroom break and after, and then making sure, like, having conversations with the teachers and the kids about like, what's going on with the bathroom? Is it private? Is it accessible? Do they feel comfortable? Are they distracted? Are there a lot of sounds outside the room that might distract them? My favorite story about a young kid was like, she told me she was pooping on the toilet, and then a bug walked across the floor, and she just stopped pooping. She was like, how can you expect me to poop when there's like this little ant walking across the floor?
Zach, can I add that you can, even for preschool, like look into the 504 policy. If you have a note from your doctor saying that it's not something, that it's a medical issue, which any of these you can have that handled. Henry has PANDAS, of course, and part of that is frequent urination. And so we've dealt with a lot of these policies. I would say that most of the time the preschools require them because they are not allowed to basically handle feces. And for a lot of what we're talking about in the pull-up, it is not that they are going to poop there. It is that they are going to pee a little bit, or and so some of that can be overcome. And listen, if you go in and present this evidence, like if everyone just acts like, hey, this is totally normal, things are not going to change. If you are continuing to say to your preschool, hey, we're trying to make this work, but here I'm going to have a 504, I'm going to have this doctor's letter, or what else do I need to get this? That is going to raise their awareness that like, this isn't the best policy, right? Because what's driving us now is like, well, who wants to have to hire people to change poop, right? That requires extra certifications, all this extra stuff to deal with children's genitals and, butts and wiping. And that is why they are doing it. So I do think some pushback, or if your child is truly not ready, go to the doctor and find out what you have to present to your preschool, to say this doesn't work for us. And how can I make this work here?
Yeah. Good, good
you
stuff.
make a really good point. I mean, there's some policy-wide thing, you know, they're all short-staffed and I think I'm mostly saying like it bothers me the most when it's daycares, when it's the 2-year-old set that's being
the reasons
pushed.
are not based on the best recommendation for your child. They're based on what's best for the institution that we've set up, right?
Right.
We have many conversations about that. But I do think this is a good place to leave the conversation about this. And you have given some wonderful advice. And of course, preschool potty problems, we will be thinking of you. Please know that we all really feel for you. And we hope that some of this works. So please give us an update. Let us know how it's going. Everyone else, if you have some other tried and true advice or things that have worked for you, please email us at momanddad@slate.com or send us a voicemail at 646-357-9318. Of course, if you have other potty training questions, let us know. We're always happy to get Christine back to help us out. Christine, before we end this little segment, where can our listeners find you if they need more information, they want to know more about what you do? How can they find you?
I can be emailed at christine@constipationcoach.com. The other thing that I really want to recommend to everybody is that pediatric physical therapists who work in bowel and bladder dysfunction, we're a small group, but like not that small. There's more and more of us every year. And it can be life-changing. I mean, there's just so much that you don't know that I didn't know until I started doing this. So as a parent, I'm always like, go find the experts. And pediatric PTs who work in bowel and bladder, man, it can really set kids up for some good things and further down the line too. So go to Constipation Coach, but also just look up in your town if there's a physical therapist who does bowel and bladder dysfunction. Even for this 4.5-year-old, I'd really recommend that.
Awesome. Do you mind sticking around to give some recommendations?
No, not at all.
Okay, great. Well, we're going to take a quick break and then we'll see you back here in a second.
This podcast is brought to you by Slate Studios and Macy's. Hey y'all, what's up? It's your girl, Lene Vanee. I'm a writer, creator, and a change maker. And when you're a young adult, so much important change begins with access to higher education and resources. And that's why Macy's supports APIA Scholars. It's a nonprofit devoted to the academic, personal, and professional success of Asian and Pacific Islander Americans. And it's on a mission to support young adults like Noor.
My name is Noor Ali, and I am an APIA scholar. The way that I grew up, I was low-income first-generation college student. APIA scholars played such a big part of my undergraduate career. The scholarship actually gave a really good boost to my savings and just made me not worried about any unexpected costs like my laptop breaking or me needing a new textbook. I've been able to get a mentor through the APIA Scholarship Mentorship Program who has been guiding me through graduate applications. My goal is to pursue a doctorate in clinical psychology with a focus on mental health for Asian Americans and other underserved communities. When you round up your Macy's purchase, you're not just supporting APIA scholars, but you're supporting the Asian American community.
Now's the time to support APIA scholars like Noor. This May, Asian American Pacific Islander Heritage Month, when you round up your purchase at Macy's or donate online, you'll help fund access to leadership development programs, mental health support, and peer mentorships through APIA scholars. Give back and learn more at macys.com/purpose.
This episode is brought to you by KiwiCo. I love family game night. It is so fun to get the whole family together and have a chance to just sit down and do something together. No phones, not worrying about routines or what needs to happen. But honestly, sometimes it's hard to find a game that we all want or to do things that everyone is engaged in. Well, KiwiCo is defining the future of play by making it engaging, enriching, and seriously fun. Henry just completed the coolest project. He made a mini vacuum cleaner. It works not only to pick up crumbs from the dinner table, he's also used it to pick up perler beads from the ground and Legos. It has these big sweepers. Plus, you guys, you don't have to go shopping for all the pieces. It's so great. It all arrives at your door, and then you can do your project as a family. Redefine learning with play. Explore hands-on projects that build creative confidence and problem-solving skills with KiwiCo. Get 50% off your first month plus free shipping on any crate line using the promo code MOMANDDAD. That's 50% off your first month using the promo code MOMANDDAD.
Priceline presents Go to Your Happy Price. What's up? It's Kaylee Cuoco. When it comes to travel, we all have a happy place. You can see yourself already there. It's beautiful. It might be sunny and sandy for some, neon and urban for others, deserts or rainforests or hiking trails. With Priceline, you can get to your happy place for a happy price with deals you really can't find anywhere else. Like up to 60% off select hotels to Costa Rica or 5-star hotels for 2-star prices in Cabo. Go to Priceline.com and travel to your happy place for a happy price. All right, see ya. I'm off to Miami. No, actually, wow, look at that. No, I'm going to Hawaii now. Ooh, Cancun looks nice. You know what? Belize looks pretty nice this time of year. Or, Palm Springs.
Go to your happy place for a happy price. Go to your happy price, Priceline.
All right, let's move on to recommendations. Zach, we're going to start with you. What are you recommending?
Well, I know that you decided to recommend something kind of on topic, so I thought I would do the same. I'm going to recommend the musical stylings of Mr. Farts. This is an artist I learned about this past weekend when I was spending some time with my grown adult friends. There were no kids around, but we put it on, and we really enjoyed it. There's a song called Fartin' Around the Clock. There is a song called Taco Farts, Sea Shanty Fart. You get the point. If you are in the zone that my family is right now, where we're trying to be able to have honest and open and sometimes comedic conversations about farting and pooping, like we don't want to suppress all the talk around this stuff, and so we're trying to like make it fun, but also trying to teach our older kid that, like, you know, we shouldn't be saying like, I'm gonna fart on your head. Like, you know, she gets like ideas like that. So we're kind of having these conversations a lot, and we find Mr. Farts to be a positive, fun addition to this kind of ongoing conversation around how and when to talk about bathroom stuff.
I love it.
Oh, that's so great. Hey, Zach, can I just real quick? I recommend the planting the idea in your head, in your kid's head, that a fart is just a poop honking the horn. Because like 100, yes, like if your child's having a very farty night, they need to go sit on the toilet to try to poop.
Yep.
So we always just say that. We're always like, oh, toot toot, that poop's honking a horn.
That's actually the name of Mr. Fart's Christmas album, A Very Farty Night. Just kidding, it's not, but it should be. That's great. That's a really good tip.
Oh my
Thank
gosh. You. Jamilah, what are you recommending?
All right. I don't have a fart themed recommendation, unfortunately. I'm recommending a show on Netflix. This would be good for older kids. I haven't watched it with Naima yet. I think she could handle it, even though sex is a theme, but I don't know that I'm necessarily going to show it to her because sex is a theme. It's called Never Have I Ever, and it's produced by Mindy Kaling. It's about a young girl navigating high school and the passing of her father, and she's socially awkward and nerdy, and she wants a boyfriend very badly, and her social life kind of takes off, and it's really interesting. It's been criticized in the way that most of Mindy Kaling's work has been for depicting Indian girls that are really into white boys and white culture, and it's guilty of that too. But it's got some other really strong stuff going on too. I just think it's really good. And she does start dating an Indian boy at one point. I don't know if it lasts, but that's a big difference from the Mindy Project, where she exclusively dated white boys. But it's a really good show. It's earnest. The lead actress is just super sweet and good. It's a great kid cast. Good show.
Awesome. Thanks for that. Christine, what are you recommending?
My family, it's super important to me that we get outside and get fresh air and have some family time without phones or screens or any of that. And it's always a pain or always a challenge, as it is for most parents. But this spring, we have had so much success when we have the theme of trying to pick up trash during our walks. So going for a hike and just picking up trash. Or the best was the creek. Like we went down to the creek and we were picking up trash. And these kids just go crazy for it. Like they love it. There's no complaining. For my 5-year-old or my 13-year-old, they're super into it. They get sunshine. We all feel good. Like we did something good for the environment. And so it's just win-win-win. So
that's how you get them out of the house. You say like, come on, let's go pick up trash. That's more compelling to them than let's go hike.
Yeah. No promise of ice cream afterwards. No, nothing. It's just like, hey, let's. My husband has some grabbers.
I was going to say, do you have grabbers? Because
grabbers are fun.
We get the grabbers and we go out on the trail. And I mean, it's in town because there's a drive in town that has like a ton of trash on it. So we just get off on the drive and go on the trails that are next to it and fill up bags with trash. And then we leave them on the drive and then we go pick them up. So we don't have to hike home with a bag of trash. But anyway, the trash pickup mission has been a real success. So everybody should try it. Maybe I'm just lucky that my kids like trash.
I love this so much. No, I think this is universally exciting for children.
Yes. Mm-hmm. How about you, Elizabeth?
I'm going to bookend this with another fart-themed recommendation.
Yes.
We just finished this book that someone gave us called Does It Fart? The Definitive Field Guide to Animal Flatulence. It is a lovely little book with fun illustrations that goes through different animals and tells you whether they fart or not. So, things like zebra, yes, and why they fart and how their system works. Octopus, no. Some animals burp instead of fart. We are in that same phase of trying to continue to navigate kind of the fart jokes and fart humor, and kind of saying like, hey, this is an important part of our body. And legitimately, I had never thought about whether some of these animals fart, but you get to learn about their digestive systems. And it's been a nice alternative to fart humor. Like now we're kind of learning about this and making jokes about like, well, does a snake fart? So check out this book. And also the illustrations are just great. Each page is kind of a different animal and a really fun illustration. So it's a fun family book that you can pull out. Again, it's Does It Fart? The Definitive Field Guide to Animal Flatulence.
Good stuff.
All right.
Well, there you go. You can learn all about animal farts. Well, Christine, thank you so much for joining us. We just so much appreciate you stopping by and helping us answer these questions.
It's my pleasure. I'll come back anytime.
Great. All right, that does it for today. This episode of Mom and Dad Are Fighting is produced by Rosemary Belson and Maura Curry. Alicia Montgomery is VP of Slate Audio. For Zak Rosen and Jamilah Lemieux, I'm Elizabeth Newcamp. Thanks for listening.
Hey everybody, it's Tim Heidecker. You know me, Tim and Eric, Bridesmaids, and Fantastic Four. I'd like to personally invite you to listen to Office Hours Live with me and my co-hosts, DJ Doug Pound.
Hello.
And Vic Berger.
Howdy.
Every week we bring you laughs, fun, games, and lots of other surprises. It's live. We take your Zoom calls.
Music.
We love having fun. Excuse me?
Songs. Vic said something.
Music. Songs.
Music.
I like having fun. I like to laugh. I like to meet people who can make me laugh. Please subscribe now.